And they're off. Here we go.
Exciting news, Further Faster have their mega sale on from the 1st to the 16th of November. Oh my goodness, head to www.furtherfaster.co.nz or over to 57A Buchan Street in Sydenham, Aotearoa, Christchurch. Further Faster, their mega sale rules. They're the best independently owned outdoor store in the known universe. Whether you're out heading for climbing, paddling, tramping or running adventures, look no farther. Further Faster, the best of the best. It goes something like further faster, they're in Christchurch. Rocky is hairy and so is Badger. Jules is nice and Jacob is delicious. Go to further faster now.
Oh, further faster, they're in Christchurch. Rocky is hairy and so is Badger. Jules is nice and Jacob is delicious. Go to further faster now.
Dirt Church Radio.
Episode 301 of Dirt Church Radio. I'm Matt Raymond. Should I say we made it? Because this is my first show without Eugene Bingham, and gosh, it feels a bit weird, I'll be honest with you. And look, I just want to address it. So way back in January, in the first essay of the DCR Substack, I said the following things. Just as Eugene and my lives have changed over the last half decade, and yes, we still talk most days, and yes, we still run together nearly every week, what Dirt Church Radio is and was has changed too. And although I didn't know it at the time, I believe in the literary business, this is known as foreshadowing, which is where you kind of use something earlier on to hint or allude to future plot developments. And my gosh, there's been some plot developments. 6 years, it's a long time to do anything, especially live in each other's back pockets, putting on a weekly podcast, excluding the global spiciness of the early 20s and the impact this had on most everything, as well as our family life and our work life. But annoyingly enough, it wasn't a pandemic or global strife or anything grand that precipitated the biggest change in the 6 years of Dirt Church Radio. It was the simple rubbing of a tendon on a bone. And that's not my story to tell, that's Eugene's. And if you missed it, he's talked about it wonderfully, eloquently, honestly in episode 300, our live show with Dr. Aotearoa. He's talked about it on the newsletter, he's written about it, and he's spoken about it in earlier shows too. So go back, check it out, and as always, we'll put that link in our show notes. For my part, I'll say this. You can support someone's decision, you can understand why they're making it, and rationally you can see the many benefits of the decision, but you don't have to like it. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't like it, and I don't like it. But what I do like, heaps, is Eugene Bingham, and putting myself in his shoes, I would have made exactly the same choice. In June, when he sat me down to tell me that he was leaving Dirt Church Radio, it felt surreal, and initially the choice was very clear. Dirt Church Radio was done. I couldn't imagine doing this with anyone else but Eugene, and frankly, the nature of what the change to Dirt Church Radio and my life would bring, it terrified me. And like with everything though, two things can be true at the same time, and there was a bit of reluctance there. And telling you this seems ridiculous, but it felt like I was being broken up with. And the major thought that I had was, I'm kind of too old to start again, which, you know, sounds funny saying that out loud. Three things, though, changed my mind about continuing with Dirt Church Radio. One, I hit my head in July, 10 kilometres into the 46k Wūtukai, and it's been nearly a 4-month recovery from that. Now, the only lasting sort of side effect, which is fading, is holes in my memory, which you could drive a bus through. But it certainly put things into perspective. Nothing is permanent, and that you should take every opportunity to do the things you love. 2, the thing that affected my desire to finish that race, if I'm being honest, which I did, was that for the last 6 years I've been one of those Dirt Church Radio guys, and I didn't want to be one of those Dirt Church Radio guys that DNF'd the Wūtukai. I'm still the one of those Dirt Church Radio guys that had to get in that helicopter that one time. And being one of those Dirt Church Radio guys is an important and useful part of my identity that I'm frankly not done with yet. 3, going to Australia for the Fire East climb for MND in September and holding on to the thought that we were finishing up and not, you know, very few people knew about that. And then experiencing the enthusiasm and support that Dirt Church Radio has gained over the last 6 years was a real turning point. I'd be lying if we said that, we were doing Dirt Church Radio for the kids, but seeing the place that we have, that Dirt Church Radio has in the trail and ultra running community certainly made me rethink my decision. The privilege to advocate for issues such as research into motor neuron disease, and gosh, there's been so many more, is something that we've held very close in Dirt Church Radio and we're very proud of. So I am going to keep going. We are going to keep going, and Dirt Church Radio is going to keep going. And we're excited for what's next. You're going to see some changes, and lots will stay the same. One thing is clear, though, I can't do this by myself. And so I'm bringing on some friends along for the ride, but more on that soon. I'm very clear that the main thing I want to achieve is not to sully what Eugene and I have built. And in saying that, he's not dead, he's just down the road, but you get what I mean. And he's still my best mate. And I hope that in the future, if he could play a small part in DCR or whatever that looks like going forward, that door is still very much open. But for you lot, as always, thank you for being involved in the Dirt Church Radio story. I wouldn't do this without your support and your engagement, and I really, really appreciate it.
Greatest run ever.
Greatest run ever. Brought to you by Squadrun. Give their 4-week special coaching trial a go. You can find the link on the website, which is www.dirtchurchradio.com. This is the part of the show we ask you to write into us and tell us your greatest run ever. It doesn't have to be a race or a mountain summit. Might just be a run around the block, something that's sung to you for some reason. Send it in to us at dirtchurchradio@gmail.com. And this is from Sarah Beaumont. In 2023, I ran the Crater Rim Ultra 30K. It was a hard run, and I thoroughly enjoyed the event and how well organised it was. I'd done a few trail running events, but never actually run an ultra. So after completing the 30K, I thought, I'd just love to say that I've done an actual ultra. As soon as the 2024 event was open for registration, I signed up. Clearly as I was eager, as I ended up with bib number 3. This was the only time I was ever going to be in third place, so I took it as a win. Training for the event sadly wasn't eventless. Varying injuries gave me grief, mainly my knee, but I worked hard to keep up with strength and mobility training. 6 weeks out from the big day, I was on the tail end of a cold and put my back out during a run. And Jesus, don't run and cough apparently. It was so bad I couldn't put my chin to my chest. A few $100s later with a chiropractor, osteo and sports massage therapist, I was back into action. I'd managed a couple of 30k plus runs in the Port Hills before it was taper time. And it was 2 weeks out. Cue the food poisoning from eating a blimmin' chicken salad. I've never had anything like it, and it knocked me for 6 days. I went into a dark place of negativity with this being so close to the event. There I was, freaked out about trying to force nutrition and hydration into my system, while also feeling like I was doomed anyway, and not being a natural runner, as she puts in air quotes, at this stuff. I needed to snap out of the state if I was going to give myself a chance of getting anywhere near my goal. 1 week out, I started to cram positivity into my head. I was constantly listening to the Positive Mindset podcasts and trying to bring the good vibes. I visited my sports massage guy, shout out to Brett Tingay, and he told me of a client of his who had been delivered devastating news. Things got put into perspective when I remembered the fact that I get to do this when others have had the opportunity stripped from them. Just as I typed, "This is a song has come from one of my best friend's funerals. He would have run this with me if he wasn't still here or if he'd at least been cheering me along." On to the big day. The alarm was set for 3:30 a.m. and my body didn't enjoy the very early breakfast. I wrote on my arm, "You get to do this." Then hubby drove me to the start line where the 53k people would jump on a bus, catch a ferry to Diamond Harbour and then walk up the hill to wait for the start at 7:15 a.m. The run started off a little later, so I had to make sure at the time would be added to the checkpoint cutoffs. My calculations of previous runs had me cutting this very close. Clearly my goal was to make it before the finish line was packed up, and I had a dream that I came in an hour afterwards, so I couldn't let this come true. The first 200 metres was around the rugby grounds, and I thought, shit, I'm tired already. Luckily, I snapped out of that and plodded along with the crowd. Up we went. Mount Herbert was never ending, but the chats were good with all different types of people, lots ticking off their first ultra too. Once at the top, it was off around the south side of Mount Bradley, which was a mud pit after 100 or so feet had churned it up, and I was ready for me to eat, shit and wipe out. I could feel my positive mindset start to shift, so I quickly had to shake that off. I made it to the first aid station, which was 20k in, with 1,000 metres of elevation completed. My friend Bex was waiting to cheer me in and get to work on restocking my fuel supplies and slapping sunblock on me. Then I was off again, up the next hill. I remember the start of the 30k very well, and it was there to slap me in the face just like last time. Up we went again, almost like climbing a ladder. It was a slog for sure, but I ticked that one off. After the steep incline, we were treated to a ready-to-blow dead cow on the edge of the track. I held my breath and got through the smell and the million flies as fast as I could. That's so nasty. Not far from the second checkpoint, my hubby Matt had come to find me. It was so good to see him, and he gave me a much-needed boost. At the checkpoint, Bex again topped up my supplies and slapped more sunscreen on and sent me on my way. Next mission was to get down, then back up the body bag at the adventure park. I knew this was going to be tough, so it was head down and soldier on. Time was starting to get tight, and my supporters were out in force to get me through to the Sugarloaf checkpoint. The stop at Sugarloaf was hard as my crew were all there and I wanted to stay and chat. One of the volunteers then came over and said, "I don't want to be that guy, but you've got 2 minutes to get across the marker and move on." So off I shimmied. The poor guy behind me got stopped. My crew had given me a task of catching the 3 people in front of me, so it was challenge accepted. I managed to pass 2 of them before the next checkpoint, and then there was one left. At about 8k to go, I passed him. Finally, the downhill part. Normally my time to shine, but this was a delicate descent. Bex met me at Rapaki Cross to make sure I remembered to lift my feet and not trip on the rocks. As we ran down, my watch ticked over the 50k mark. That's an ultra, right? I was stoked, but the day wasn't over. Still 3k to go. We were joined by a 34 weeks pregnant friend who just placed second in the 6k run. Before too long, the park and the finish line was in sight. People were leaving the prize giving and made sure they yelled and cheered me on. My son was waiting to run in with me, and I had a sudden boost of energy as Rocky was announcing my arrival, still with enthusiasm, I might add. That was it. I'd done it. I made the cutoff with 12 minutes to spare and was able to cheer in the last 3 runners. I was so happy that they made it too. That was a big day of 11 hours on the go. I managed to keep a positive mindset throughout the day and keep reminding myself that 80-year-old me will look back on this proud day and thing that I did, that I pushed myself to see what I was capable of. Super grateful to all of the support from people that got me through. It's now a week post-run and I'm still buzzing about reaching my goal. I've listened to the CRU episode on DCR and it made me so happy knowing the pros found it a tough day out. I'm definitely walking tall. Thank you, Sarah. And yes, if you do listen to that episode, you can hear Dwight Grieve, Emma Timmis and Vicky moaning about how hard it was. And I had the pleasure of hanging out with Bex, your support crew, at a couple of the aid stations, and that was super fun. So I'm really glad that you made it. Right, rest of you, send them in, please, dirtchurchradio@gmail.com. The barrel's starting to get a little bit empty, and, you know, this is an amazing part of Dirt Church Radio that we really, really want to keep going. So, right, let's get into it. Without further delay or obfuscation, where to from here for Dirt Church Radio? Well, look, let's get on with it. I'd like to welcome the 2 new co-hosts of Dirt Church Radio, Ali Pottinger and Andrew McDowall. Kia ora koutou and welcome on board. Let's start off. Andrew, are you okay?
I'm sorry, we're just laughing from the official countdown thing on the screen. This is the other side that I've never seen of Dirt Church. Like you've got a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 count, like so professional.
Yep.
Andrew looked like a little kid. His eyes just lit up like, wow, it's counting down.
Oh yeah, you just need a little clacker, right? You know. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, we're fully professional, but off screen you've been it's suffice to say I've never ever seen you like this. You have been the picture of capability, but it appears that you have come apart at the seams. What did you do today?
I'm a little discombobulated. I'm sorry. I'm not organised. Yeah, it was a 3:30 start today for the Auckland Marathon, and that's okay. I mean, I saw that Tom Hunt got up from his house in Mangere and ran to the ferry and then ran a 2:55 marathon, so I shouldn't really complain. But still, I am quite tired, and it's 7 o'clock on a Sunday evening, and usually I'm shutting down around about now. So I'm even without a marathon in the morning. So I'm just hanging in there. So please, it's not a great start, day one with Dirt Church, but you just bear with me. Apologies.
Guess the only way is up. And what were you doing at the marathon?
I was pacing the 3-hour time, the 3-hour marathon time. This was the second time doing that pace. It's quite challenging for me. It's not like I can run a 2:30 marathon, so a 3-hour marathon's easy. It's not even close to that. In fact, today I ran 2:59:30-ish, somewhere there, which is exactly where you want to be. But I don't tell them this while I'm running it, but I mean, that's only 40 seconds slower than my PB. So I'm right at the pointy end of my ability, just pacing that. But it was good. I mean, it was an amazing turnout. There were over 3,000 runners, and we had a huge pack behind us, just before we climbed the bridge. I sort of had a little look around, and I don't know, 60 to 70 odd people behind us trying to break that 3, and a lot of them did, which was super cool. Usually, last year, at about the 35, 36K mark, I was by myself. We'd lost everybody. It was just Mark, the other pacer, who's amazing, and myself. But this year, we had people around us the whole time, and a lot of them came in like in that last minute, in that 2:59, I reckon 30 people came in that 1 minute. The stats will probably say otherwise, but it felt like 30 people. It was a real buzz just to be there this morning. Very challenging wind, so like a really gnarly headwind. And at one point, it was just us two pacers at the front creating like a V formation behind us of all the other runners we're having a shield. And it didn't matter how many times you put your elbow out, nobody came and took the front of the peloton. We had to take the brunt the whole way. So it was quite challenging, but satisfying morning and nice to be, 46 years old and still running sub-3s. I'm happy about that. So we'll see how long that lasts.
Did the balloon survive?
Amazingly, yes. It became almost like a parachute with the wind. You could actually feel your collar being sort of, slightly strangling you. But other than that, it survived till the end.
Ellie, have you ever paced a marathon?
No. No.
It's quite fun.
I have not.
I couldn't think. Yeah, I also have never ever paced a marathon, but there we go. New people, new things. I mean, thanks for, I guess. It's nice now that this is finally, I don't know what you call it, the big reveal or whatever, but it's so great to have you both along.
I hope everyone's not too disappointed. It's like, oh, God, those two.
Oh, it's Ellie and Andrew.
Oh, shit. Look, I thought it would be Courtney and Killian, but it's not.
That's right, exactly. That would be it. That's the thing, right?
That'd be an interesting dynamic.
Do elite runners necessarily make great podcasters? I think sometimes that they do. I think that...
Dylan's calling you right now.
What's that?
Dylan's on the phone to you right now.
Yeah,
buddy.
Yeah. No, he's all good. Look, I mean, what do you guys want to talk about?
I didn't know you were going to ask me that question.
Yeah, me either.
Well, look, we're all going to Kosciuszko.
But I'm doing the proper one, and you guys are doing
and that's what I wanted to talk. That's what.
So, sweet, you're baiting me. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Both of you.
Actually, no, Ellie's. Are you going to both, Ellie?
I'm going to both.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm going to both ways.
Is it the following week?
Yeah.
The UTMB one or whatever it's called.
So let's wind it back for the people who might not know. So yes, there is Aotearoa Kosciuszko. It's the UTMB race. It's the 100 miles, 100K, 50, 30, and then there is Coast to Kosci, which is
the original proper one.
Which is.
It's a unique, shiny diamond of an event where people run from the coast, like in the name, to the top of Kosci, and then they come back down to Charlotte's Pass. It's 240 kilometres, and it's, I don't know, how would you describe it, Andrew? It's a very special race, and it's quite unique.
I mean, my wife came home. I ran it in 2016. And my wife came home from it because she crewed and she quit her job because she had just an epiphany of life. It was just it can change your life for some people. It is so different to any other race, with perhaps the exception of Badwater, which I have not yet experienced, so I don't know. But a lot of people say it's the sort of Antipodean Badwater, because it's roughly the same distance, 240k. It's 222 to Charlotte's Pass, and then 9k up and 9k back, it's a select 50 runners, or it might be a few more this year.
If they increased it or not.
Yeah, it might be 60, which is still a good small amount of people, and everyone's really on the same page with what they want to achieve. My dog is scratching at the door; it wants to come in. I'll come back to that. I think because like you literally start with your toes in the water and you just run west for forever, and the whole way everyone's got the roving crew. Again, just like Badwater, there's you have your car, your vehicle, and they are bunny hopping you the whole time, and it's sort of 3 to 5k or however you're feeling. And other crews are there as well. And of course you get to meet all of these people as you're running along because they are passing other people. And it's a very communal spirit thing. Everyone is trying to get everybody to that finish line. Yes, it's a race, of course, and I am competitive and obviously have goals, but at the same time...
What are the goals, Andrew? Tell us about the goals.
Well, let's see. Always 3. I always run these races with 3 goals, so I can have a cop-out option. But obviously beat last time's time, which will be 8 years ago, and I think that's about 34 hours, 40 minutes. The second one is go run under 30 hours, which would be great. And the most important one is to try and beat Stephen Redfern's time, which is about 28:30, which is pretty sharp. So that's quite tough. But I will definitely be giving it a try because he's promised me bonus points on our ratio of wins and losses against each other. And he said that if I beat his time, he'll give me an extra point, which I need because I'm way behind at 6:3. Does that make any sense?
And also, I mean, what we said, I guess it's analogous to Badwater as well, is it's a road run.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. You have about, 15k of gravel road or sort of fire trails.
At the start.
And then you're on a dirt road for 80k, and then you're on tarmac for most of the rest of it. And then the last bit up the mountain is gravel, snow, a little bit of trail. But
yeah, it's snow at the moment,
run.
Andrew. I saw a photo from it today from the main range. Yeah, there's
oh my goodness. Okay.
Some snow up there at the moment, so it might be taking microspikes and poles.
Oh goodness. Okay, I haven't even thought about that. I don't own microspikes. I live in Auckland. I don't.
This is true.
Yeah, I'm the
Mount
same.
Eden doesn't get too rough, eh?
What are these microspikes you speak of?
I'll have a search around and might be able to loan you some Mercury.
That would be great, actually. Yeah, thank you.
Ellie, what are you going over for?
So I'm going over to crew my friend Claire Hollis. I went in 2017 and crewed Roger Hannay, who's an absolute legend. And
the
ever
Hoka
since
guy,
then...
He's the Hoka
What's that?
Is he the Hoka guy of Australia?
Yeah, he
Hannay?
is.
No.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, and ever since then I've actually wanted to go back. Like I'm just going to say it's a meaty race. Like with Rog, it was 43 and a half hours of crewing and pacing, and I felt pretty blasted, but it was like, I don't know, and it wasn't a great day for him. Like he was kind of vomiting from 100k onwards, and I was going, I've come over from New Zealand for this, there's no way he's going to be able to finish, obviously keeping this all to myself, but seeing him show such resilience and carry on gave me so much. I can understand why Andrew's wife has come away from Coast to Kosci with, you know, a bit of a life-changing experience, because it's this, yeah, there's something about it that, I don't know, it really gets you deep down. And yes, I'm going back to crew Claire, which is exciting. Keen to see how she goes. The area means a lot to her, so it's going to be fun.
You don't want to be too like that's the life change. So yeah, quit a job. That's
it wasn't really what I had in mind. I mean, are you going to get another one, darling? You know,
could have been divorce. Could have been.
yeah. What the hell was that, Andrew? I'm out of here.
This isn't fun. Yeah. I mean, people know you from Dirt Church Radio. You've both been involved throughout the years. You've both been on multiple episodes. You've co-hosted. Andrew, you've gotten us out of the proverbial so many times. But people might not know that actually, you know, who you are. So I'm going to ask both of you to tell the listeners and myself a little bit about yourselves. Ali, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, you want to start with me?
100%.
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm trying to think, like, do you want the whole life story? Like, what do you actually want to know?
Not in real time, but just, I mean, your background with running, how you came to be involved, and I guess your journey towards being a super spun-up coach and a bastion of the trail community in Australasia and beyond.
Gosh, running kind of has always been part of my life. I'm like, my parents met at phys ed school, and
Cute.
I know, right? And so obviously a love for sport and the outdoors, and so that's been, how I've been raised. Played sport pretty much all my life. Running's always been the thing that you do to kind of be good at sport as well. You've got to have the fitness to go with the skills. And yeah, it's just kind of carried on. I remember running, in the bush when I was a teenager and thinking that was pretty cool. And I lived in London for 7.5 years, ran alongside the Thames a lot, which was also cool, but definitely not trail running. Came home and just got really into backcountry hiking, or tramping as we call it in New Zealand. And I guess I've always had a love of exploring the world. Like, I've done a lot of traveling, and it's another way to explore the world and kind of, see new things and tick things off. And then, got more and more into trail running, met Kerry, started pushing the distance a bit more, and started coaching as well. Left my job as a teacher. And, so that was kind of, almost 10 years ago now. And just been, coaching since then. Obviously got into ultra running, have done a fair bit of that. And I'm trying to think what else. Obviously hosting lots of training camps along the way too, in the Blue Mountains, the Old Ghost Trail, and lots of other areas. Yeah.
You can add podcast host.
Yeah, now podcast host.
It's cool how these things happen. I mean, they happen by degrees, and obviously, but the first, sort of answering our pleas for help, stepping in at Ultra Trail Australia, that was really cool. I remember one of the first sort of proper long chats we had, we were standing on the outside deck of Scenic World, and it was like 4 a.m. and it was just...
It's cold.
It was so cold and windy, but, it came together really well. So thanks. And, super excited to have you here. Andrew, what about you, man? We before you came on board, we were sort of lamenting that you didn't turn up like this. You didn't turn up. You weren't captain of the cross country team in high school, were you?
No. I was okay at cross country at high school, I think. Do you mean it literally, or is this a metaphor that I'm missing?
Metaphor.
Whooshing over my head.
For your sporting endeavours have happened sort of in early middle age.
Yeah, a late bloomer, shall we say. I mean, I ran in high school, a little bit of track stuff, and I remember there was like a Mount Smart meet, and I was such a rookie that I was given spikes for the first time, and I remember walking across like the concrete apron leading up to the track and just not lifting my shoes up to keep the spikes off it, and just that spikes on concrete, and I just remember everyone around me going, ooh, like that shame. I was like 16, very impressionable, and that still burns. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. I don't know why you just reminded me of that, but there you go. Thanks for that.
You're vulnerable. It's okay.
Yeah. We had a good run, though. It was a good 400 metres. It went well. But that was it. And then uni comes along, and it's a music university, so all you do is, you don't do exercise. But I was in Boston. I went to the finish line of the Boston Marathon and just watched other people look amazing. And, of course, that was just a completely unrealistic goal, the idea of running a marathon. To be fair, I mean, when you go along to these things and you see people running a 2:07 or a 2:08 or whatever they run at Boston, I probably wasn't quite looking at the right sort of person to compare myself against. But that was all I knew. I thought everyone ran like that. The idea of running really after high school was very foreign, and it was all just music. And and a music university, definitely doesn't encourage that sort of thing. Nor did any part of my 20s. It wasn't until some mates were running Rotorua in my late 20s, maybe 28, something like that. And they sort of dared me to it, and I can't resist a challenge like that. And so we all started this Rotorua Marathon, trained together and everything. It was really cool. And my ego kicked in at about 15K, and I sort of thought, I'll just see you guys later. And I sort of took off ahead of them and thought to myself, that's the last I'll see of those suckers. And I think we all know how marathons go, especially first ones. So
especially Rotorua.
Yeah, big hills. And then it was actually the really flat bit going past the airport that was just killing me. Mentally so tough. There's just the scenery's not changing very fast. And I got to 37 Ks in a world of hurt, and then I got the old pat on the back as my mates went flying past me, and they said, "Oh, we'll see you at the pub," and off they went, and they took off and beat me by a good few minutes. And that there was that moment of silence at the pub afterwards when everyone takes their first sip of beer, and sort of everyone's just silently there, and then one of my mates goes, "So Andrew, what was your time again?" I'm just like, man, okay. And I've never run a marathon against them since, so they are therefore undefeated against me. Despite
Are they still running?
The weird coincidence happened is the same two guys, Nigel and Angus, signed up to a race. This was a text from them. They said earlier this year, "Hey, we've signed up to something called the Northburn 50K. Have you ever heard of that? And have you got any tips for us if you have?" So I think I can probably help you out a little bit there. Since it was my 7th time lining up for Northburn, but they had no idea I'd run it. And so they did the 50K that year, this year. And so I got to catch up with them again, just randomly. But that is the only time we run together twice. And the fact that I absolutely destroyed them in that first 50K doesn't matter because we're in different races, so it doesn't count.
I was going to ask if you entered the 50K on purpose,
yeah,
knowing that they were lining up.
I'm dropping down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that it took them over 10 hours is irrelevant, right? Yeah. Anyway, no, that was a weird coincidence.
Did you slap them on the bum, Andrew?
Should have, eh? Anyway, So it was pretty much. I just remember I tried Kepler in 2011, so my first ultra then, and I just remember that whole sort of like, man, I really like this running long distance thing, but I suck. I wish I was good at it, and I think there was that sort of sense of frustration at not being good at something that I really enjoyed. And I guess you can go two ways with that. You can sort of just say, oh, well, you can find something else. And I decided to, dig my heels in and sort of say, well, I've got to figure this out. And took 3 years before I ran another ultra and still kind of sucked at it, but eventually got better enough that I enjoyed it. And you find your distance and you find your courses and you find your stuff that's more fun. So, yeah, that became basically I started long distance running around the same time that I stopped touring with bands. So I replaced one addiction with another, I guess. And I'm not sure which is harder, touring with bands or running 100 miles. As Matt can attest to, everyone has their unique personalities in a band.
Yeah.
Which
I put down the bass, picked up a mountain bike. I did the same thing.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The only difference was you got paid to tour with a band instead of paying.
However paltry it was, you got paid.
Yeah. I mean, I did 3 years with Catch a Fire as their trumpet player, and that was an amazing time, but it was at the worst possible time in my life. I had 2 young children. And, you get this opportunity. It's like, man, you want to tour the world and play in a band that's quite successful and therefore every show is going to be sold out and you're going to be playing fun reggae stuff on an album like Revival, which I was a huge fan of anyway. It was just it's a wonderful gift to have that opportunity. But it's like, man, 10 years ago, this would have been perfect. But now I'm in my early 30s and, you're taking off on 5-week tours of America. You're playing every night. And meanwhile, the wife's at home with 2 young kids trying to deal with that situation. And you sort of swing by and you go, hey, and then you go off to your normal job because I was still working at the studio all day, so all week. So And tours of New Zealand, you would I'd work a week, and then Friday I'd jump on a plane to somewhere, play Friday night, play Saturday night, maybe Sunday, fly home and go to work on Monday. Some Australian tours I would pay extra just to fly home to do some work at the studio and then fly back on tour. If they had like a 4-day break, I would just fly home and work for 2 days and then fly back again. So it was definitely something that had to go. And certainly when child number 3 was on the way, it was like, oh, no, that's the end of that party. And I would say, at least with running, you can do it mostly from your own home rather than on a 5-week training tour or something like that, which sounds amazing, but I don't think I'll ever be able to do that until the children have left home. We're getting there.
It's amazing, isn't it? How, and I guess that highlights the duality, and you could compare that, but I'm guessing you saying to Emma, at least I'm not touring the States, that excuse is probably worn thin in the preceding 15 years.
Yeah. No, you definitely still have to manage things very well. I mean, Western States is it's about 8 days away. Hard Rock should be, if I ever get in, which probably not times 60, but if I ever get in, will be you should be there for 3 weeks, because of the altitude. You need to give it that time, but that's just impossible. That's totally unrealistic. Just gonna if I get in, you get 1 week, give it a go, do your best, but you're never gonna have the advantages of the people that live there, or can take the time to go there. So, yeah, whatever, just wing it.
And I guess that's the thing too. Everyone in this virtual rooms run a bunch of ultra marathons, but you've run some of the biggest in the world. I mean, out of the big three, I mean, you've done UTMB. You finally knocked Western States off, very impressively. So it's all Hard Rock now.
Hard Rock's the other one on that podium, at some point, hopefully, again, maybe children a bit older, so I can do something like Tour de Jaunts, because that takes a long time just to do the race, let alone getting there and getting home, and of course Badwater does interest me, and maybe those 200 milers, but they're damn expensive. And again, it's you're running for a week, you throw in a bit of travel and everything. It's a huge commitment. So certainly no more than one thing a year, or maybe one thing every 3 years. We'll see. It's great to do. It makes life a little bit more interesting, and I think any sort of travel to places like this just opens up your mind and stops you growing old, right?
Do you think, and this is for both of you, do you think 250 mile or 200 milers, Cocodona 250, Moab 240, all of those things, are they a post-pandemic phenomena, and are they the new 100 miles? If 100 miles is now the new half marathon, is 200 miles now the new 100 miles? And is it a generational thing, like people like us who we sort of building up, because they seem really popular?
Yeah, I think the entire way people look at races is changing. I don't think it's necessarily the 100 miles or 200 is now the new 100, because everyone, I mean, there seems to be, certainly the younger generation love to brag how they didn't train for a marathon and went and ran it, right? It's almost like all the distances are compressing, and I don't know what the end game of that is. Admittedly, I haven't given it a huge amount of thought, but it does seem like, you don't want to be running 200 miles just to brag about it. I don't think that that's quite the right idea. And I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with this. I don't think so is the short answer. I still think 200 milers are one of those very unapproachably, ridiculously long way things that are still sort of only a certain few people can do. But we've got so many 100 milers now, haven't we?
So one final question to move on to Ali. Are you wearing your Western States buckle as we speak?
No, but I should, sorry. It's still very shiny.
Ali, what do you reckon?
Yeah, it's a good question, because I guess, our sport is growing, right? And it's growing in strange ways. Like, who would have thought 5 years ago that we'd see a backyard ultra in pretty much every town? I guess with the 200 milers, there's a couple of aspects to it, I guess. Like, so ultra running is about exploring your boundaries and, you know, what am I capable of? And so now that we've got quite a lot of people in our region that have done 100 milers, that is the next thing. Like, oh, well, I know I can do 100 miles. Can I do 200? So I think that's just kind of a continuation of that exploring where you can go with the sport. And maybe also it's part of that kind of those hero events and those runners that are well known that we kind of, I guess, look up to, like the Candice Burts or Sally McRae, people like that you go, oh, look, they're doing these things and maybe I should do it too.
And Mike McKnight and String Bean are two pretty damn cool names for ultra runners. It's kind of inspiring.
Courtney Dauwalter, she won Moab, eh? Was it Moab?
Yeah, by 11 hours, I think.
Yeah. There was that bit where she was on some podcast, and the host was saying, like, you know, the second place, the person who came second, you know, like would be just like for the rest of his life, like sitting at the traffic lights and then just go 11 hours.
Just hit him.
Yeah, just be traumatizing.
You know, some people are like that. There's that YouTube guy, Full Tilt Ward. He did something in the middle of one of those 200-mile races that still kind of bothers me. Is you know, because there's so much time, and if you're a halfway decent runner, but you're not right at the front of the field, sort of, you can be so casual with it that it's almost a joke. Like this guy at one of the aid stations, and I still think it's dodgy. Got in his car with his crew, and they drove to a hotel in the middle of the race where he had a shower, had a sleep in a nice comfortable hotel bed and all this sort of carry on, and then got back in the car, got driven back to, you know, the same aid station and then continued on. You know, there's not many races that there's that opportunity, let alone whether or not it should be done. And, you know, I think we've got to, I don't know, there's something about that bothers me. It's like a lifestyle thing. It's like, oh yeah, I've got a week off. What shall I do? I'll just go chill out and do 200 miles and cruise through, and there's aid stations and I can have a good time. I don't know. I'm too competitive to look at them like that.
Do you not think, I mean, I wonder, again, I maybe it comes down to a generational thing. For me, you know, finishing 100 miles as the first one, which you experience, and, you know, for me, I wouldn't think, okay, sweet, I've done 100 miles, now I'm going to do 200 miles. I think I've done 100 miles. Do I either want to do, focus on doing a road, you know, change it completely and focus on doing a road marathon and take a, you know, 6-month block and train to do something like that? Or do I focus on knocking X amount of hours off my time this year? Do you know, and what does that look like? Not sort of taking a binary distance and then saying, well, I could do that. I don't know.
Just giving Ellie a chance to jump in there, sorry.
I was just thinking maybe we just put it out to the listeners and they can tell us if you're, what they think. Why are people doing 200 milers?
I wonder if it is. I mean, I ran into these two guys in Riverhead. They're awesome, Jamie and Marco, right? And they both started running right around the pandemic, both sort of early middle age, and both have done 100 miles already. So both kind of, they launched into it and they're like, well, there's no time like the present, and, you know, nothing's taken for granted. And that's very much on the radar. And I wonder if it is that kind of maybe a generational thing. But anyway, we could, let's turn it to the listeners. If you guys get involved, let us know in the comments what you're thinking and where the state of the sport is going. What are you both excited for?
Well, obviously Coast to Kosci. It's less than 3 weeks away now. And it's a weird thing to say considering I'm feeling very, very sore. Because that, you know, talk about 100 miles. Running a marathon hard is horrendous. And for those 3 hours or however long it takes you, you know, you're in the hurt box the whole way. Whereas you're not going to be running 100 miles like that. You shouldn't be anyway. So it's a lot. It's actually a lot more enjoyable, I think, 100 miles than running a marathon at full speed. But I should recover relatively quickly and get a little bit more training in before it. But yeah, I'm just really excited about that and finishing off what's been a big year with a few beers afterwards. Yeah, that's for sure.
What about you, Ali?
Well, running-wise, I'm not got a lot at the moment to be very excited about. I've got what looks to be an osteoarthritic knee, so I'm battling that, which sucks, and just hoping that I can get back running again. So we've got an MRI this week, and we'll see how that goes. So my excitement's kind of more coming from being involved with my work and other people's running and celebrating that and enjoying seeing people being active and embracing our beautiful outdoors. So yeah, I'm looking forward to crewing Claire. I was hoping that I'd do a lot more pacing, but that's not happening at Kosci. And then
you won't be able to pace at all, do you think?
I don't know. We'll see how we go. I managed 3K today, Andrew.
Hey.
So yeah, I'm hoping I can actually join her for the summit. Summit and back down, but we'll see how we go.
I mean, I think I walked that entire last 18Ks last time, so if she's anything like me, you'll be fine.
yeah, I'd figure that it'll probably be a walk. Who knows? We'll see.
Depends if you have microspikes.
Yeah, I do have microspikes.
Yeah, sweet.
And pulse. Yeah, and then looking forward to being on the mic at UTK as well. And and before that, Queenstown, I'm off to the marathon to do commentary work there, which will be fun.
Oh,
and
wow.
actually, I had a really cool past few days. So Kerry and I went down to Ohakuni, and because there's been a change of ownership, I don't know if you guys know, the goat has been sold, and all the events that encompass with that, all the concessions for like Tussock, Ring of Fire, and there's also a new one coming called the Skywalker Vertical Challenge, and Ohakuni Events Charitable Trust has bought that. So they said, we really, we kind of had a meeting with them, and they said we really want to, engage our community and encourage the rangatahi to be active, and we've gone down before and talked to Ruapehu College as part of their cactus program. And they said, can you come down and talk to the schools? And we were like, yeah, definitely. So I went down and talked to the kids about, what we've done with our running and about coaching, being paid to go and MC races and coach people and work from home or work from cool places. And, had a really cool chat with them. And it was just so much fun talking to kids about what we do and about our great outdoors, like how beautiful it is in the Tongariro and Ruapehu national parks. Like just, that region is pretty spectacular and special, and just saying to them, like, your doorstep is amazing. And then seeing, the excitement on their faces. And I had a Facebook comment on our post about it from one of the mums of the two of the kids that we'd spoken to at different schools, just saying, they're really pumped, and they're out there doing their little, because I made these bingo boards to give to the school of activities that could do, and they've gone out and they're already out there doing this stuff. And I was like, oh man, that got me. Like I had little tears in my eyes because I was so happy that these kids have taken on board a message and are out there doing cool stuff in their environment. Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Kosciuszko. I'm looking forward to being on the mic with yourself. Got the Aotearoa Afghan Marathon coming up, which I'm really excited, helping to not helping to organize it, being like road, helping to be part of setting up the course and doing all that stuff and being out there on the day. And then got a little race called Rage Against Riverhead, which will be the next week. And then going to Kosciuszko and doing the 30K and then getting on the mic. So it's going to be, there's a lot.
Busy.
Yeah, you've got a busy few weeks, man.
So that Afghanistan marathon is in 2 weeks, 1 week. It's soon.
It's soon. Yeah, it's soon. It's
what is it? A week.
Google it.
Is it a week? No, 2 weeks.
It'll be
2 weeks.
Yeah,
yesterday.
2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks yesterday.
16th of November, 2024.
Yeah, Saturday the 16th of November, and it's super good because My mother-in-law was involved because she worked up in Bamiyan for ages and worked there both with the UN and then worked for NZ Aid and was doing all sorts of stuff and became, very close with a lot of families. And when Afghanistan fell, actually was instrumental in getting a ton of people out. And it was the people who were, they were running tourist business and they were doing stuff like that. And it was Gul who actually put on the Afghan marathon. And so, can't do that anymore. And a big part of what the whole thing in the Hazara community was to get women and girls engaged in the sport and get women and girls engaged in being, outside and doing that stuff. So obviously that doesn't fly with the Taliban regime. And so they're in Aotearoa and really, really keen to do something to showcase not only the multitude of cultures in Afghanistan, but also form a connection and sort of give back to. Like, they're here and they just want to get after it, really, and just contribute and just sort of they're incredible. So
anyone can run it, right?
Yeah, anyone can run it.
It's only $50 for the half.
Yeah.
Cheap as chips, bro.
Cheap as chips. And the thing with it too, because we obviously can't run it at 2,000 metres above sea level, which is where, Bamiyan is. But what we set out to do was to make it, there's no trail. So it's all gravel and forestry road, which is sort of analogous to, the Bamiyan Marathon's not a trail run. So, yeah, and there's going to be food and, photo exhibition. They've got anyone who wants to come and try and win it, they've got these super cool medals that they had made in Afghanistan, and they're pretty sick. So it's going to be super good.
There you go, Sean and Madeline. There's your free ad.
Yeah,
That's good,
yeah,
for a very good reason.
It's a very good reason. Yeah, it's a very, very good reason. So,
and then it's the end of the year.
And then it's the end of the year. And start of something really cool a continuation of something really cool for Dirt Church Radio. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff coming up. And so I guess how it's going to work is we're going to be ducking and weaving, aren't we? We're going to be joining different chats, different times, and just sort of widening things out. And I know that sounds super vague, but we're kind of also making it up as we go along, which is exciting too, and in keeping with how Dirt Church Radio started. So.
Hey, I'm quite jealous of your next interview, which I'm not going to mention, but the person that you two get to talk to next, I'm quite jealous of that, but that's okay.
This is the thing, and I guess this is the thing. It's my hope that we get to the point where, and I know this is like a rising tide lifts all the boats, right? So getting to a point where, you guys want to, this is the thing. We can widen that net and make it as cool. But yeah, we got some cool people coming up, and some cool things going. So last question, and it was going to be the last question, but because you were so in pieces, I just wanted to ask you, Andrew, how much do marathons suck out of 1 to 10?
Oh man, it's like any race. They suck a lot at certain points doing it, and then afterwards you're like, oh, that was amazing. Far out. I loved every minute of that. And your brain just goes, all that bad stuff, just see you later. See you later. Marathons are amazing. But yeah, I mean, marathons are really, really hard. I think anyone, I often get that sort of like people say to me, oh man, you've run all these long races. You must find marathons really easy. It's like, maybe like if I run them at, 7-minute Ks maybe, but not if I want to be good at them. Then it's just as painful for me as it is for anybody else. So yeah, I never to be underestimated is the marathon. It's probably the best way to put it. Yes, they certainly can suck.
Ellie, you want to weigh on that?
See, I'm just going to say, I think any time you can toe a start line is a good day.
True.
Absolutely. Right. Well, look, great place to leave it. Ellie, Andrew, again, thank you for jumping into this thing, and rest of you, everyone else, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you very, very soon.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
So there you have it. We're cracking on. I'm so stoked to have Ellie and Andrew on board, and can't wait for what the future brings. Thank you very much for tuning in. Dirt Church Radio is presented by me, Matt Raymond, Ali Pottinger, and Andrew McDowall. We're on all the podcast platforms, so like, follow, and give us a rating. It helps. We're on social media at Dirt Church Radio. You can email us at dirtchurchradio@gmail.com. Now, don't forget to sign up for the new podcast. It's not a new podcast. It's been going for a long time now. The Aid Station podcast and our newsletter. Don't forget to write in with your greatest run ever. We'd love to hear from you, and you can read them on the website too. Thanks to our supporters, Further Faster and Squadron, and our Substack subscribers in the DCR Aid Station crew. Stay tuned for our show in 2 weeks when we have another great guest lined up, and check out the DCR Aid Station podcast next week. Mā te wā.